Okay, so I have come to the conclusion that I can no longer stay in my house again because of the mold. Somehow it's cropped back up again, and my health has been just getting worse and worse. And so, we're back to it's sort of like finding a needle in the haystack. We found a huge portion of it and removed it, and there's still some more. And also, I'm being shown, my guides are showing me visions of sort of like what's going on. And the water is not good either. And I think the reason why all of this is taking place is because the fires that happened back in 2018, I live in Paradise, California, and pretty much our whole town burnt down. I live on a family property. During that fire, I was living at another house on my mom's property. And my property and her property are all connected. This house that I'm in now was being built during that exact same time. The house I was in, as well as my mom's house on the property, burnt down. This house up on the hill was connected to that property, was spared. The fire came all the way up to the porch and stopped, and the house did not burn. It wasn't ready to move in yet, but all the piping was put in at that point, and the fire had basically combed over the whole property. Even though it didn't touch the house, the well burnt down. The holding tank, the big huge plastic holding tank, melted and completely burnt. The pump house burnt. So even though the house didn't burn, all the piping was in the house, and the heat, this is my theory, right? The heat from the fire caused problems with the pipes. And that's why I feel like I had that slow leak for so long, not knowing that it was there. There was a slow leak behind the wall. And this is why I feel like the water's contaminated, because of all of the toxic from the plastic that burnt. Who knows how the pipes are underneath the ground from the heat and from the compression of the heat burning down the well, burning down all the other stuff. So that's my theory of why because this house is relatively new. And that being said, this is like, the family property. This is the house that I'm going to be living in for the rest of my life. It's not something that I can just walk away from and move away from. I've got to fix it. Finding out where all of the problems are, it's sort of like, honestly, if I had the means, I would have to I would redo the whole entire piping, all the way from the well, all the way up to the pump house, all the way to the house. Take out all of the piping in the house would need to be replaced. And a lot of that stuff is behind the walls, and it's extensive. I don't have the funds to do that right now, and I am in a place where I'm not sure exactly where the problem is. So all I know is that I can't stay here right now. So I'm going to be camping outside again until I can find a house sitting gig. Last time I went through this, I was led to an app where you can house sit, which was a lifesaver. And so I've been putting applications in for house sitting gigs just to get me out of here. When it comes to my health, I can't mess around. And basically the mold exposure has caused a histamine intolerance. Histamine intolerance is when your body can't break down histamine. And most foods have histamine in it. And because of that, I can't have anything. I'm back down to eating. I can pretty much only eat eggs and rice, which is extremely difficult to deal with that. And I'm having to, I still can't breathe. Like, I still can't take a deep breath. I'm still having attacks. It's almost like having an allergic reaction where you go into shock and your throat swells up. Down here gets so inflamed that you try to take a deep breath, and it's like, you only have this much room to breathe because it's so inflamed. The throat's, when it gets bad, the throat can swell up and then I'm off to the ER. Because I'm not being able to breathe, it's been about 2.5 weeks now since I haven't really been able to get a good deep breath. I'm waking up with migraines every day. And it's affecting my heart. And it's making so that I have an irregular heartbeat. It's extremely challenging because I'm in a rock and a hard place when it comes to the medicines that would take to help me get, clear the mold out of my system. I have reactions to. So, the migraine, to get rid of my migraine, usually the only thing that works for migraines that bad is extra strength Pamprin, and that has caffeine in it, and caffeine triggers the mold. So I can't really, you know what I mean? I'm in a rock and a hard place between not being able to take the medicines that would make me feel better, and so it's like a very fine line to walk through as far as like trying to find a remedy. But getting out of the house is the first remedy. So that's what I'm working on now. When it comes to how I'm dealing with all of this, it's sort of one of those things like I know that God will provide. God has provided miraculously and will continue to do so. No doubts in my mind about that. But what I'm going through is extremely challenging. And so I just sort of had my breakdown moment of like getting it out. And then, it's just a process of getting it out and then realigning to my truth of infinite possibility. You know what I mean? And it just goes back and forth between that. Getting it out, returning to my truth. But, I do realize that I know that all of this is happening for me, not to me. There are benefits. There is silver lining to, having to have such a strict diet has made me strong, has made me to where I can let go of anything. It's the stuff that happened before that I'm even able to let go of everything. But it's just honing me and fine-tuning me and so on and so forth. And I know that, but it's not easy. And it freaking sucks. So that's where I'm at. And I am just going to keep continuing to move forward and ultimately, hopefully, everything will work out. And I know that it will. But that is the gist. I am sending you guys lots and lots of love. And I will talk to you soon.